So in terms of some of the frequently asked questions for assessment 2, hopefully you've now all chosen an organisation, as basic an organisation, well, a large organisation, as much as anything to give you a chance to talk about an organisation that's going to have lots of different data, lots of data, which is they're going to have to come up with some sort of data warehousing solution to handle. So just give yourself a chance in terms of which organisation you choose, in terms of the kind of task that we're looking for. If you choose a small private organisation, there's hardly any information on them, or that don't have much information to handle, then it's going to be a very difficult assessment to do. I think some of you are discovering that some organisations are a bit more open about their data and certainly their performance, etc., than others. Obviously, US companies have to, big US companies have to report on a quarterly basis their key figures. You've got the UK PLCs that have to have annual reports and accounts. If you choose something like it might be a large but a German private organisation, you'll find that it's very difficult to find any information on them at all. So just give yourself the best chance to do a decent, to do a good assessment. So the reason I've just said all that is because the first part, you have to talk about the organisation in terms of who the organisation is, where they're based, both headquarters and regional hubs, etc. So how many shops, if it's a retailer, how many shops have they got, how do they distribute to customers, what do their operations look like, what are their touch points with their customers, etc. And from that you should be able to sort of deduce or estimate or sensibly come up with some framework for the types of data and information that they will be generating. So all organisations will come up with similar data in terms of financials, etc. But there may be actual specific data types that are related to a type of organisation, depending on what they do. So again, just think about how they operate, how they contact, their distribution channels, their touch points with customers, and what that means in terms of information flowing back into the organisation. So part 2, certainly I know this is a consultancy project, but this is, when you see the word summarised from the literature, or the phrase summarised from the literature, what I want you to do is go into the academic literature and just find out about an overview on data warehousing. Now, I had the overview from Neil Barrett, and that was very useful in terms of the kind of thing that the way of describing a data warehouse, a classic model, if you like, and certainly that will help you to illustrate how the data warehouse might be used in conjunction with the data information, etc., that you've talked about in the first part of the assessment. But also we need some sort of something from the literature in terms of the academic literature, in terms of what is data warehousing. You might find some classic definitions and some modern definitions. Obviously, it's been around for quite a long time now. But certainly this isn't an information systems masters, it is a business analytics unit within the masters, within your various masters programs. And so you'll find that the literature on data warehousing gets quite technical quite quickly. You'll see that in some of the backup information that I've given you on Moodle. So please don't go too deep into the technicalities of the building of the building of information systems, the computer science, etc. behind this is not what we're looking for here. So, implementation and adoption of the warehouse. Well, I've given you a head start with implementation issues. Again, from the literature, the papers on Moodle, and again, just looking for an extension to that. In terms of just development of the discussion around implementation issues and adoption issues, but they are generally the same for any implementation of of some sort of information system, whether it be a CRM system or an ERP system, some sort of major system within an organisation that is going to cause change in processes, and obviously needs some link up with legacy systems, etc. So the final part, demonstrate or illustrate how 3 separate analytics techniques can be used once the data warehouse is fully operational. So here you can use simulated data, or if you can find some actual data, all the better, but simulated is absolutely fine. Just looking for some example illustrations of what the organisation could do if they successfully implement the data warehouse, and so they can pull down data from that flows into the organisation and analyse it in such a way that it will support their strategic and tactical decision making. So when I say advanced, it's really anything from probability onwards. So we had probability and probability distributions, then we looked at data modelling and optimization, then we started to look at correlation and regression for causal modelling, and then we looked at forecasting, in particular some of the moving average methods building up to the use of exponential smoothing. So that's what I mean in terms of advanced analysis. So the first assessment was very much about visualizing and summarizing data. The second assessment is very much about applying some of these advanced techniques from the use of probability onwards to show what we can really do with business analytics. So don't worry too much about too much data, too many variables, and going too deeply into complex analysis. Show what you have to in terms of the report, in terms of the analysis that you've done, but certainly illustrate what it means, what you can do with it, and any large outputs, analysis outputs, certainly should go into the appendices. With the forecasting element, you can use regression to forecast, you can use weighted moving averages or moving averages to forecast. Exponential smoothing would be better, as it's empirically it's the better univariate technique. If you're looking to use weighted moving averages or moving averages, you might want to think about using Solver to optimize the weights, or certainly for exponential smoothing, optimize the alpha factor, so you can minimize the error for the holdout sample. Things that we did in that particular session, and that's about it really. If you're struggling to get access to SPSS, or you found it difficult to take on board SPSS when we did it, all of the stuff that we're looking at here can be done in Excel, apart from the batch forecasting, which we looked at in the last week. The batch forecasting in exponential smoothing, for exponential smoothing in SPSS. We ran out of time really in terms of looking at the various elements of data mining, although regression can be used as a data mining tool. So there's just some answers to frequently asked questions.